Hi all. So here in the United States, Thanksgiving is upon us. It's in just a few days. And if you're outside of the United States, this is kind of the start of the holiday season for us. And even though it's really great and super fun, it can be a little bit anxiety provoking. There's a lot to do, there's family members to see, and it's a time that actually research shows that people just tend to be a little bit more stressed. They tend to be more anxious. So that's why I wanted to offer you today a really quick anxiety reducing tip to use during this time. And hopefully it'll really help you enjoy the holiday more. But before we get started, I invite you to like and subscribe. It'll help other people who might need this type of tip find this video and find this channel. So a 2-second anxiety reducing tip. That seems a little too good to be true, right? But this actually does work, and I will teach you why it works, because I think really understanding the mechanism behind it will be even more effective for you when you learn this tip. Okay, so first we're gonna kind of learn about the why, and then we're gonna go into the tip. And if you want to just go into the tip, you can fast forward or skip ahead. Okay, so why does this tip work? So really the tip centers around coming back to the present moment. And before you click off and think like this is some kind of like quasi-Buddhist type of thing, this actually makes a lot of sense if you think about anxiety as a habit of your mind going into the future. So when we're anxious, we're often projecting something bad happening in the future, and we essentially worry about that bad thing happening in the future. So essentially you have a habit of worry. So when you're anxious, you continuously think thoughts about the future that would result in a negative outcome. This is similar, but also opposite to depression, in which typically in depression, people are thinking negative thoughts about the past, and this usually plays out as something called rumination. And if you Google rumination, you will see that it is literally linked to like every mental illness out there. It's something that is very common, and it's just very corrosive to the mind. So essentially rumination is just thinking negative thoughts over and over again about the past, and it doesn't have any type of solution. So it's not like you're constructively thinking about like how you could do things better. You're actually just kind of ruminating on the past. And this can make people feel very down, and it can make them feel depressed. And anxiety is similar, in which it can make you feel very worried, very anxious, very stressed. So essentially this is the same mechanism, but the only difference is that anxiety is functioning in the future versus depression is functioning on the past, typically. Again, sometimes this is an oversimplification, but I think it's really useful to think of it this way because it can be really helpful in helping us understand why we're doing something. Okay, you're anxious about the future, right? So there's a lot of things that are going to be happening this week, a lot of new things, moving pieces, things that you don't normally do on a regular week. Like most of us aren't making stuffing and a bunch of pies like on a weekly basis, right? And so you're thinking like this could go wrong, like my pies could be a disaster, like the family get together could be really awkward, like bad things can happen in this week, in the future, in the next few days. So you're kind of projecting like, oh, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, right? And your mind kind of spirals there. And what happens is that typically we just kind of let our minds like run free. So it's like, just like almost like imagine like a horse, like it's running this way or that way, and this way is towards the future and this way is towards the past, and it's never like actually standing still, and it's never like actually being in this current present moment. And so the tip here really is to bring your mind back to the present moment when you're kind of projecting all of those bad things that could happen that are making you anxious. So if you're feeding your mind with kind of all of these bad situations that could happen, it actually does have a stressor on your body. Your body can't quite differentiate that well of something happening for real or something happening just in your mind. So you actually do get some of that stress response of that bad thing happening when you're thinking about it. So if you want to feel less stressed this week, if you want to feel less anxious, if you want to enjoy things more, you really have to focus on bringing your mind back to the present and not projecting possible bad scenarios that could happen. Because remember, we really don't know. Like, we have no idea what's going to happen in the future. And it's kind of a waste of time to just project horrible things happening just in case they do. It's very much more of like a superstition rather than like a problem-solving activity. Because when you're in a problem-solving mode, you're actually trying to think of solutions to these possible scenarios, and you're kind of coming at it from an emotional place that is more positive. But when you're just thinking of the bad scenarios happening, then this is just pure worry, right? This is pure anxiety. And oftentimes we think that, like, oh, if I think of all the possible bad scenarios that will happen, then it'll kind of prevent them from happening because I've already thought of them. But honestly, life doesn't work that way. And we kind of all know this, right? So what I want you to do this week is to just get into the practice of coming back to the present, just this moment. This is what you have, and that's really all you can control. And one thing that I sometimes do when my mind starts to wander is I just kind of say in my head, like, come back. Like, come back to this moment. Start noticing things around you, like physical things. Maybe notice the furniture, notice your body, notice the bodily sensations that you're feeling. Maybe a lot of your muscles are tense. Maybe you want to kind of relax them and just come back to this current moment. And remember, this is the only moment you can control. This is the only moment that really matters. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. So I hope that this was helpful to you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will see you all next week with another video.